Hello, music friends. Thanks for being with us today. Today, I actually am very excited because I have my friend, author Amanda Wen, here with me live in person. We are not having to Zoom.
No,
we get to actually be together in real life because we are both from the same hometown,
We are.
Wichita, Kansas.
Yay!
Yes, so I'm so excited to be here with her. And we also, I believe, have the same maiden name. Is that right?
We do.
Yes.
And everyone growing up just thought I was related to your family.
Right.
And they're like, oh, are you part of... No.
Thought you were one of the sisters.
But you're
we're...
blonde and you play a string instrument. Yeah, but I don't play violin.
Yes, she's cello. So, just a little
Yes.
bit different from the violin, but definitely close cousin.
Yes.
So I was like, when I got the chance to interview you about your new book, I couldn't help but reach out and try to do it in person.
Yes.
So, yes, well, can you tell us a little bit about your background in both music and writing, since we have both those things in common?
Music, I started piano when I was 5 and cello when I was 9, and actually went to college for music and have 2 degrees in cello performance. And so
Nice.
Naturally, that's what I'm not really doing much of these days. I am still playing. I play a lot, but I do a lot of piano stuff and also writing stuff. And so the writing was, I started writing for fun when I was a kid and then got serious about it in like 2014.
Okay.
A story idea just sort of popped up and grabbed me and wouldn't let go. And
I do that.
and yes, I got bitten by the writing bug. And my friend, I have a friend in town she was my middle school best friend.
Oh, wow.
And she is a multi-published author herself. And I was like, well, you knew me when I was 11 and had brick wall bangs. So
yes,
if you've seen me at that stage of my life, I can probably trust you with my writing. And she read it and she's like, yeah, it's good. Here's all the things you need to fix.
Yes.
But
the red
it's
pen.
good. Yeah, she got out her red pen, but I'm grateful. And then she encouraged me to enter writing contests, and I did. And it was through a contest through ACFW, the First Impressions contest. So that's how I got hooked up with my agent.
Yay,
And
ACFW.
Yes, I met my editor at ACFW. We actually met on Twitter before ACFW.
Really? Okay.
We became friends on Twitter before I even knew what she did for a living. And then one of our mutual friends said, you do know she's the acquisitions editor for Kriegel, right? And I said, no. So then I scrolled back through all of our Twitter exchanges to make sure that I hadn't said anything dumb about editors. And no, we're good. And so I had been talking.
They are our friends.
Yes, they are. They are.
We do need them.
She is amazing, and my books would not be anything close to what they are without her.
Right.
She's phenomenal. She knows exactly what my books need. But she actually, I requested a pitch session with her at ACFW, and she read my book on the plane on the way down because she knew she was going to be meeting me. Wow. So when I got there for the super awkward try to sell your book in 30 seconds,
right,
she's like, I love your book. And I'm going, wait, what? Yeah, I'm 3/4 of the way through it. It's great.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so I don't need to give you my awkward elevator pitch? Nah, we're past that. You're good. Okay.
That's a huge weight off your shoulders. You're like, now we can relax.
So then we spent the pitch session talking about what she wanted me to fix as far as like before the committee sees it.
Right.
I'd like you to add these, and one of the things she told me to add was one more scene, which actually ended up being my favorite scene in the entire book.
Really?
So it took a long time to get it through committee and final approval and all of that. So it was a year from when I met her at ACFW to when I signed my contract. But
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of a long answer to your question, but there you go.
Yes. Oh, no, it's wonderful. I always like to hear where people's like musical and author journeys take them. And you still do some music, though, because didn't you just run a strings camp like last week or something?
I taught at a string camp. I taught cello. I taught a little bit of piano, actually. Just whatever they needed me to do, I did. So I got to teach full-time for a week. And I have a lot of respect for teachers.
Intense. And it was right when your book released, right in the middle of your full-time teaching.
Yes, because I didn't have enough in my life. I needed to release that book right there.
Yay. So, speaking of this book, and maybe let's actually go back one book before it, so that you give us a little bit of background on the Sedgwick County Chronicles, since we're in Sedgwick County.
Yes.
And maybe tell us a little bit about this first one and the genre, and then about your new release.
Well, the genre is split time, which, for those of you who might not be familiar, it's there's a contemporary story going on, and then there's also a story from the past. There are split time books that the past is only like 20 years ago, and there are some where it's 400 years ago, but the storylines all intersect. There's usually a linking object like an old necklace or a painting or a diary or a farmhouse, which is what mine was. It was inspired by an old farmhouse that's up in Sedgwick County, and it belonged to some ancestors of mine that were some of the original settlers of Sedgwick County. So I'd never... the house is abandoned now, and I had never seen the inside of it until I started researching for this book. But I always knew growing up that this belonged to my great-great-grandpa who immigrated from Ireland.
Oh, neat.
And, I always knew, that's Grandpa Little's house. I grew up knowing that. And so
that's incredible.
When I knew the house was probably not going to last much longer, I was like, well, I can't save it in real life because I am not, extreme home makeover, that type of person.
No.
So maybe I can try to save it in a book. And so that's what hatched the idea for this one.
And that gives it posterity.
Yes.
So can you tell us obviously there's the contemporary storyline, but then the historical time period?
Yes. So the historical time period is Sedgwick County pioneer days, so 1870s, 1880s mostly. The past heroine is a pioneer who comes to Sedgwick County from Indiana, which is where some of my family came from.
Oh, neat.
My mom is a genealogist, so she knows.
Really?
She's been tracing our family history for decades, and so I grew up knowing all these family stories.
Yes.
And so I incorporated a lot of them into this book.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So.
Yes, my grandmother, she is a nonagenarian historian still with us today, and she had us growing up going to Cowtown, which was the Pioneer Museum here in town, still open, you can come visit, and we would reenact from the 1870s and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. So if you're in Wichita, it's definitely worth, and it also opens with the Wichita Historical Museum, which is also fun to visit because you can kind of trace back the heritage.
I took my kids to the historical museum, and they had never seen a payphone before. They thought that was just the most interesting thing in the world. Like, you have to pay to use the phone.
Yes. Although we do actually have to pay to use our cell phones, but they don't see that.
Right, but you just put the coin in this. If you did have to put a coin in the slot of the cell phone every time you used it, I wouldn't use it anywhere near as much as I do.
Yeah. So... But I absolutely loved it, and I loved how you wove those together using the split time. And then, yes, definitely all the Wichita references were a lot of fun.
That was fun.
Yes.
I like writing it set here because there aren't that many books set in Wichita.
No, that's why when I found out you were writing between the music and the Wichita connection, I was really excited.
A lot of my Wichita friends have caught a lot of things I threw in that probably
the Keeper of the Plains.
Wichita people, just some little Easter eggs in this one and the second one.
You don't have to know Wichita to enjoy the book,
no,
though,
absolutely
by no means.
not. But the Wichita people was like, hey, what's that? Yep,
the Orpheum Theater.
Yeah.
I know my grandma would go there as a kid.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your recent release that just came out, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks now.
Yes.
Which is crazy to think about. But this centers around a couple of supporting characters from that one.
Oh, and sorry, for those of you who are listening and not seeing it, the first one is Roots of Wood and Stone by Amanda Wen. Sedgwick County Chronicles is the series. And then tell us your recent one.
This is called The Songs That Could Have Been.
Yes.
Which I can take zero credit for the title. That was all my publisher.
I do love the title, though.
It was perfect. When they told me, hey, this is what we're going to call your book, I was just, that's the most perfect title ever. Perfect. So, for book 3, there's not a title. They're going to ask me, what's your working title? I don't have one. Y'all can come up with something. You're brilliant. You'll do it.
Yes.
So, so this is a couple of supporting characters from the first book.
That's what I love, that you can stay with the same family in both stories.
Yeah. You don't need to have read that one to understand this one. It's just this couple's story is in this book, and then there's
the sibling,
other family.
right?
Yeah,
the sibling,
the sister is in this one. So, and the past storyline is the 1950s, and it deals with an interracial relationship at a time when those were not anywhere near as accepted as they are today.
Right. And tell us a little bit more about how you tied that in with the piano, because I loved your description of the seventh, totally geeking out for all of our music friends, the seventh chord. That was my favorite scene, of course.
Oh, good.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how you wrote the scene with the seventh chord and bringing together that interracial relationship?
Honestly, I don't remember that much about writing the scene.
Okay.
I am what's called a pantser. Like in
Yes,
writer
okay.
language, we don't plot out scenes ahead of time. We just sit down and go, okay, characters, what are you going to do?
Right.
And so I'm watching the story unfold as I'm writing it.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a plan for the seventh
Oh,
chord.
really?
It just kind of, God sort of just dropped it in my lap. And I was like,
Brilliance.
oh, hey, that was a good idea. Thank you for that. That was
Yes.
great. Yeah, I didn't really have a plan, and I didn't even realize there's a lot of color symbolism. The colors black,
Yes.
white, and red show up a lot in this book. I didn't realize until about halfway through the draft that that's what I was doing.
I loved the color
these are
symbolism.
symbolic. And actually, that was inspired by the school where I work. The
Really?
black, white, and red. I started working on this book when I first started in Haven, and at the time we were in the auditorium a lot.
Okay.
And the curtains at the time were red, and the
Nice.
walls were white, and the floor was black, and the piano was black and
Okay.
white, and it was kind of reddish, and there was just a lot of
Interesting.
black, and so that's where those colors came from.
Oh, that's really fascinating.
Which they've now since renovated the auditorium, so nothing's red in it anymore.
Okay,
That's
but I loved it
needed
in
to
the
be-
story.
Yeah, it made
Yes.
it in here. So
It did. And I really liked, so yeah, how you talked about, again, for some of my audiences is
Yeah,
musical, hopefully.
music nerds.
So the whole like C major chord being on the 3 white keys, and then
Uh-huh.
she adds in, I don't think this gives away too much
No.
of the story. Then she adds in the 7th, which is a B flat. And so it's a black
Uh-huh.
key, and showing
Yeah.
again how the white and the black keys work together.
Yes.
Was a perfect symbolism.
Oh,
so
thank
that was
you.
my favorite
Oh,
scene
good.
because I'm a music
That's one
geek.
of mine,
So
too.
yeah, so that was beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit more why that was an important theme for you, if you're willing to talk about it for you personally? Or not?
My own marriage is interracial. My husband is Chinese. He was born in the U.S. His parents are from mainland China. So,
Oh wow.
growing up in Kansas, I always just sort of assumed I would marry a white guy. It didn't really,
Right.
I didn't object to the idea. Just
Yeah.
it didn't occur to me that I might fall in love with someone who wasn't, but it did occur to my parents at one point. Like when I was dating, I remember my dad very clearly saying, I don't care if the guy you marry is, black or whatever. If he could be purple with 2 heads, if he loves you and loves Jesus, he's good in my book. And I just remember my dad saying that. And so then when I met Cheech, we were friends first, and then we started to become more than friends. And so
Now is he cello too? Or
no,
is he
he's not a
musical
musician at all.
No.
He likes to joke that he's the only Asian kid whose parents made him quit the violin because he was
No.
so bad at it.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, he didn't like it. He played it,
Okay.
but he was bad at it. He
Yes.
is not a musician. He was in choir. He
Oh,
was in
that's
a cappella
nice.
choir, and
Yes.
he did a lot of vocal percussion.
Oh wow.
But
But he can beatbox, and he can.
He's very
yes.
cool. He's much cooler than I am.
No, I doubt that. I doubt
He
that.
is very fun. He is.
But you said he's the only one they made quit the violin.
Yeah, he jokes about that.
Oh no!
But
he did play a little bit though.
he played a
as
little bit,
kid?
and I don't think his brothers ever played. He has 2
Okay.
brothers. I don't think they played anything. But
Okay.
he took piano lessons and he took violin, and he hated both. So
Yeah.
he
Oh,
found
no.
his true calling. He appreciates
go.
music. He just doesn't. He doesn't make it himself, but that's okay because I discovered that it was nice to not be married to another musician.
I did discover the same thing.
Yeah.
My guy is behind the camera right now, so it's very nice to have your support who can, be supportive of your music, and a lot of the behind the scenes frequently are these guys behind us. So even if they don't play music, they're very supportive.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
So-
in my book, A Change in Tune, I have an interracial relationship.
Yes.
In my case, it's a Chinese
Yes.
cellist, and
Uh-huh.
so I was like, oh, Amanda would probably relate some
Yes.
to that. And then with
I
the
can.
violinist,
Yeah.
I don't specifically say where it's set, but it's Midwest as
Yeah,
well, and so
I figured that it would
so
be.
yes, obviously I was
Uh-huh.
inspired by the
Yes.
Midwest. So.
Um,
So going back to your songs that could have been, I
Uh-huh.
also know you liked tackling difficult topics.
apparently, I do.
The other one was the church music topic, and that's always a fun one
Yes.
to delve into. But you had a couple of fun comments in there about different types of church music,
Uh-huh.
and I know a lot of us work in church music,
Uh-huh.
and just trying to balance that kind of historical and traditional contemporary.
Yes.
And you touch on that a little bit.
A little bit. My past characters are talking about the cultural differences and just the differences in worship styles between their churches because they come
Right.
from slightly different denominations. They believe
Yes.
the same core things, but their
Yes.
worship styles are different, and they, like everything else, this couple is like, why should we let these external things be a thing between us when we love each other and we love Jesus? Like, why is that not good enough for everybody?
Right.
So,
and I really liked that. And I even think your genre that you chose, having the split time genre, is kind of represents that same concept of that you can have the contemporary, contemporary storyline or even contemporary music combined with kind of that historical connection.
Yes.
And I just love anytime there's like genre mashups, whether it's in music or then in literature. So I liked how you kind of brought that into both the music side and the literary side. It was a lot of fun. So another fun music thing that we're going to go into here at the end, what got you interested in improvisation?
Oh, okay. That was when I was in college. The church I was in, they liked the idea of cello with worship music because that was starting to become popular back then. But they were like, we don't really have a cello part for you.
Right.
Because most of these songs don't have one.
Right.
But we really would like you. They're like, can you just, if I give you a chord chart, can you find some part or something? And most of the parts that they did have a cello part, they were just long tones and super boring. And I started kind of just, decorating it a little bit. And I would read off chord charts. And for a while, it was just, okay, this is a G chord. If I play a G, it'll sound good.
And that's what I'm working with even some of my own string students right now is like, start basic.
Yes.
If it says G, play your open G. And as you get more comfortable, you can start messing around a little bit more with notes in the chord and rhythms.
Yeah. And I played piano in jazz band in high school.
Oh, so fun.
Those chords are a lot more complicated than like G. D,
yes. And is that why jazz kind of plays a role in your novels then?
Bit. Yeah. I am not a jazz musician at all, but I was exposed to it a lot in high school and I kind of learned how to plunk a little bit, but the character in here that's a jazz musician, he's much, much, much better than I am.
Oh, okay. But that's a nice thing about fiction. You can always kind of live like, oh, my ideal, I would love to be this level.
Yes.
Yes. So we might improvise for you guys in a little bit on our instruments.
Yeah, that might be fun.
Yes. Well, is there anything else you wanted to highlight that about either of these novels that you haven't gotten to before or that you'd wanted to share or lessons you want your readers to take from it?
I think both of these books center around the fact that God has a plan for all of us and that he is trustworthy, which is a lesson that I still, having written 2 books about it, haven't learned yet. So I'm working on it. He's working on me on it. But that is, I think that's the main thing. And these books, like, they both share that message in a completely different way. But, God's timing is best and his plan is perfect. And that's what I really hope people take away from it. So.
Thank you so much. Well, can you also tell us where we can find the book and where we can find you online?
Oh, okay. The book is available wherever books are sold. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on IndieBound, ChristianBook.com, any place that they would sell books.
And again, the second one is The Songs That Could Have Been by Amanda Wen, and the first one, Roots of Wood and Stone.
Wichita people, you can get it at Watermark, and you can also get it at Faith and Life in Newton, which is just a half hour north. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's in stock, and I think Barnes & Noble maybe has it. I haven't been out there to check, but I know Watermark has it, and I know Faith and Life has a lot of copies. So
yes, go help support our local Wichita author. That does help so that she can continue to research the community and share more information about it. But even if you're not from Wichita, you definitely don't have to be a native to enjoy it. So,
and that's where you can find me. My website is www.amandawen.com, and you can find my newsletter there. There's a free short story for all of my new newsletter subscribers. So sign up, and you can download a free short story.
And then we can know when book 3 comes out, right?
Yes, book 3 is in the works, and it is scheduled for release in fall of 2023.
Wonderful.
Yes. And I also have a Christmas novella coming out in a collection in September.
Do we know the title?
The title of it is O Little Town, and it is 3 novellas set in 3 different time periods in the same small town in Michigan. And the 2 other authors, Deb Rainey, who is multi-award winning, best-selling Deb Rainey, and then Janir Tromp, who is my editor, but also a fantastic novelist herself.
Wonderful.
So the 3 of us got together and we created this little small town in Michigan, and we each picked a historical era that we wanted to write about, and we each picked a line from the hymn O Little Town of Bethlehem to title our novellas. So the collection is O Little Town. Mine is called Hopes and Fears, and
I
that's
love
from
it.
Verse 1. And
Yes.
I think Janier's is called Dark Streets Shineth, maybe.
Okay, yes.
I can't remember what Deb's is called, but we all took a
I
line.
love the music connection again.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, Janier's a musician too.
Is she?
She is. So there's music in that one.
The best stories are musical stories.
They really are. So that's coming out September 27th. So that's my next.
Wonderful.
Like I just launched one thing, and now
And to jump right
there's
in.
another thing, and I'm writing book 3 and getting
Yes.
ready to send kids back to school here in a few weeks.
It's a
and
lot.
It's crazy.
It's a lot.
Yes, but we
All
don't have it
right.
any other way.
Well, with that, we will end by actually giving you a little bit of improv on one of the songs that plays a role in songs that could have been, and it's a famous one that you all should hopefully have heard of,
Hope so.
Amazing Grace.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, and if you would like more information about Amanda, you can visit her website at amandawen.com.
Yep.
If you would like to subscribe to my weekly kind of music blog with all about music and fiction, it's rescottcreative.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.